I never intended to return to the sea after what happened on Harbor Station 12. But some places don't let you forget them. Some places keep your voice. I was part of a 3-person coastal research team assigned to inspect abandoned maritime structures along a remote stretch of the North Atlantic. Most were simple jobs: old lookout shacks, weather-beaten posts, rusting buoys. Easy reports, easy pay. Until we were sent to Isle Morna, a rocky island swallowed by fog and avoided by every fisherman we met. There was only one structure on the island, a 19th century lighthouse nobody had entered in nearly 30 years. No boats moored there, no researchers surveyed it, no records updated since the 90s. Most places get abandoned because they're useless. This one felt abandoned because it was avoided. The arrival. We, me, Lewis, and Mara, arrived just before dusk. The ocean was unnaturally still, the surface flat as slate. Fog hovered low, clinging to the rocks, pulling back only when we approached, as if the island were exhaling. Even from the boat, the lighthouse felt wrong. It was tall, thin, and too quiet, as if absorbing all sound. The railing around the upper balcony was warped, bent outward like something had pushed against it from the inside. "Looks unstable," Mara muttered. "Great," Lewis said, flicking his flashlight. "First one inside wins the funding bonus." He always joked when nervous. When we stepped onto the stone pier, the air changed. The sound of the engine behind us cut sharply, as if muffled. Waves hit the rocks, but quietly, like someone had turned the ocean volume down. We all noticed. None of us said anything. Inside the base of the tower, the lighthouse door didn't creak. It didn't resist. It simply swung open, slow but smooth, as if it had been oiled yesterday. Inside smelled like damp rope and cold stone. Faint traces of old machinery oil still clung to the air, despite decades of abandonment. Our flashlights moved across, a metal spiral staircase, old radio equipment, a storage table with logbooks, a small wooden chair lying on its side. Nothing unusual, except for one thing, the radio. It had no power. The battery pack was missing. But the switch was in the on position, and someone, recently, had wiped all the dust off its dials. "Maybe the last team was here more recently than they said," Lewis whispered. But he didn't believe it. None of us did. The logbook Mara found the old lighthouse log under a pile of rope. Most entries were mundane: weather, ships, supply notes. Then the final page. "Stop calling up the tower. We already checked. Nobody is on the stairs." Below it, a second line written in a frantic, slanted hand. "Do not reply to any voice unless you see the body attached to it." "It's a joke," Lewis insisted, though his voice wavered. Still, we all looked up the tower steps. They spiraled tightly, disappearing into darkness. My skin prickled. It felt like someone was waiting at the bend above us. The first voice. We climbed slowly. It was halfway up when we heard it. A faint tapping, like metal on metal. Rhythmic, deliberate, tap, 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 Morse code. I didn't want to translate, but I knew it. We all did. "SOS," Lewis whispered. "Someone's up there. Maybe stranded." "Then why didn't they call back when the boat tried the radio?" Mara whispered. Tap, 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 regular, steady, mechanical. As we climbed further, something else happened. The air grew warmer. Condensation formed on the metal railing. The steps themselves vibrated softly. It felt like the lighthouse was breathing. The lamp room. At the top, the wind outside raged silently, moving the fog but making no sound. Inside, the lamp room was empty, except the tapping continued. It wasn't metal. It wasn't Morse code from a person. It came from the outer glass of the lantern room, from the outside. And then we heard a voice, not shouting, not whispering, just speaking. Clear. Calm. Unmistakably mine. It said, "Don't leave yet." The words came from behind the glass, but there was nothing there, only swirling fog. Lewis froze. Mara's flashlight dropped and rolled. "Say something," she whispered to me. "I didn't..." My throat closed. "I didn't say that." Then it spoke again. Same voice, same tone, same rhythm. "Come down, one at a time." Lewis backed against the railing, his light trembling. "That's your voice," he said. "Your exact voice." Before I could respond, the voice changed. It became Mara's. "Lewis, help me." Her exact cadence, her breathing, her panic. But Mara was right beside us. She covered her mouth, shaking. Her own voice echoed around the tower, drifting up from below. Then Lewis's voice joined it, and then mine again. The lighthouse wasn't mimicking us. It was sampling us, repeating us, trying different combinations, testing which voice would make us move. The descent, we ran. But the tower changed. Every step we descended, the staircase behind us groaned, metal bending, tightening, closing. The voices followed us down the shaft. "Wait. Don't run. Come back. Help me." I fell. "I'm hurt." All in our voices, overlapping, layering, learning. At one point, Lewis froze as the voice of his dead father whispered, "Son, why are you leaving me again?" He broke, collapsed to his knees, shaking violently. Mara pulled him up, screaming his name, but her voice was immediately copied and repeated back at us from inside the walls. The exit. When we reached the bottom, the door was no longer open. It was almost shut, just a sliver of night showing. The voices were now inches from us, not behind, not below, all around. They whispered our names like someone tasting new words. We shoved the door, something resisted, like thick air or hands. Finally it flew open and we stumbled outside onto the rocks. The fog closed behind us like a curtain. No more voices, no footsteps, no tapping. Silence. Dead, absolute silence. The escape. We sprinted to the boat. Lewis was barely conscious, muttering fragments of the voices he heard. When the engine started, Mara didn't look back. I did. A faint light glowed in the top of the lighthouse, not the lamp. Something moving back and forth just behind the glass. And then, just before the island vanished into fog, we heard our voices again. All three of us spoken together, "You'll come back." Aftermath, Lewis quit the team. Mara never spoke of it again. I still hear the tapping sometimes when I try to sleep. The nightmare isn't the lighthouse. It's the thought that it still remembers our voices and is waiting to use them again. They sent us because the light went out. If it had stayed off, maybe nothing would have happened. I work maintenance for offshore navigational systems, buoys, radar reflectors, automated lighthouses. Most of them are boring. Metal, rust, salt, replace the batteries, curse at the wind, go home. Greystone Beacon was supposed to be one of those boring jobs. It sat on a chunk of rock in the middle of nowhere, a thin white tower bolted into basalt, fully automated since before I was born. No keeper, no house. Just a generator shed pressed into the base and a long spiral spine of metal stairs running up the middle. For 3 nights straight, ships reported the same thing. Greystone light did not rotate, sector dark, radar echo unstable. The operations center checked the logs and found nothing. According to the system, the beacon had been working perfectly. So they sent 3 of us out to fix the glitch. Me, electrical tech, 10 years of this. Vega, mechanical specialist, always grinning, always filming. Rhodes, supervisor, ex-Navy, treated everything like an enemy position. The day we went out, the sky was already wrong. Low ceiling of thick, uniform grey. No clear sun, just diffuse light. The sea wasn't rough, just restless, a constant sliding like something big moving underneath. Our pilot, Duarte, didn't like it. "Vou deixar vocês na pedra e dar distância," he said, eyes never leaving the horizon. "If the light comes on, I don't stay close." "Afraid of a little bulb?" Vega joked, checking his GoPro. Duarte didn't smile. "You joke now," he said. "Depois, you don't." We reached the rock in just under an hour. Greystone rose out of the water like a bone, white paint blistered and streaked, lantern room glass stained and dead. No rotation, no flicker. From the boat, it looked tired. Not ruined, not dangerous, just tired. We stepped onto the landing platform. Waves slapped the concrete, not too high, but the spray felt colder than it should. The instant my boots touched the platform, I felt it, a pressure in the air, like walking into a building during a power outage. the moment, right before the emergency lights come on. "Anybody else feel that?" I asked. "Feel what?" Rhodes said. "The static," he grunted. "We're exposed on a metal slab in the ocean. Of course you feel static. Move." Inside, the generator room hummed weakly, emergency power only. A few panel lights glowed a sickly green. Rhodes checked his tablet. "Main feed's showing normal from shore," he said. "So whatever's wrong, it's here." A single steel door led from the generator space into the base of the tower. Someone, years ago, had scratched words into the paint near the handle. The salt had eaten some of it, but I could still read, "Don't bring the light back." Vega ran his fingers over it. "Creepy," he said. "Old keeper having a bad night, you think?" Rhodes snorted. "Old keepers drank too much and hated automation. Ignore it." He pushed the door open. Metal stairs spiraled up and up into a dim shaft. Light leaked down from small windows, irregularly spaced along the tower's skin. There was no sound except the distant beat of waves against rock and the faint hum of the generator behind us. We climbed. Halfway up, Vega started whistling a tune softly, just to cut the silence. It echoed strangely. Not with the usual metallic ring, but dull and delayed, as if the tower was absorbing some of the sound before giving it back. "Stop that," Rhodes said. Vega stopped. The whistling continued for 2 more notes. Then it stopped too. Nobody said anything. The stair treads flexed slightly under our weight. My hand slid along the cold rail, fingers tracing rust and old paint. Near one landing, someone had scratched something into the wall again, deeper this time, carving into the metal itself. No words, just 4 parallel grooves like claw marks, each about the length of a hand. "Vega, get a shot of this," Rhodes muttered. "Someone in structural will want to know if we've got vandalism on remote sites." "Sure," Vega said, but his voice lacked his usual bounce. We kept going. The air got warmer as we climbed, which made no sense. Warm air rises, yeah, but the tower had been dark for days. No lamp, no heat. And yet it felt like walking toward a small, closed room where someone had been breathing for a long time. At the top, the lantern room was exactly what you'd expect. Circular glass, central lamp housing. Old rotation mechanism, C in every direction. The bulb was off, the shutters were still. The control panel mounted near the floor showed all zeros. "Okay," Rhodes said. "Lights off, rotation off, feed looks dead up here. But the system says it's been running. Where's the disconnect?" We set to work. Vega checked the motor assembly, crawling under the rotation platform. "Gearbox looks intact," he said. "No obvious seizure. Little corrosion, but nothing insane." I opened the junction box on the floor and tested the main feed. "Your line from shore is good," I said. "Voltage is there, but the branch to the lamp is dead. Could be a fried relay." Rhodes nodded. "So we replace the relay, test, and get back before this weather turns worse. Simple." "Famous last words," Vega muttered. The relay was cooked, blackened, cracked. It should have shown that on the logs, but we'd figure that out later. I swapped it out, reconnected the leads, and checked continuity. Everything looked clean. "All right," I said. "I'm going to bring power to the lamp circuit. We keep the beam on manual, no full rotation. Quick test, then off." "Do it," Rhodes said. I flipped the breaker. Nothing. No buzz of current, no click, no brightness. I frowned and checked the meter again. "We've got voltage in the box," I said. "But the filament's not drawing. Bad bulb?" Vega shrugged. "Maybe. These things are old. We can..." The lamp exploded into light. No slow warm-up, no flicker. Just instant. Blinding white, like someone had dropped a star into the housing. We all staggered back, hands up. "The hell?" Rhodes shouted. I didn't energize it," I yelled. "The breaker's still..." I looked down. The breaker was in the off position. The meter on the junction box showed 0 volts, no power. But the lamp burned anyway, its light punching through the glass, out into the grey world beyond. The rotation platform shuddered under our feet. Slowly, it began to turn. Not with the jerk of a motor starting, but with the smooth, awful certainty of something stretching limbs it hadn't used in a while. Outside, the beam cut the sky into sectors. We watched it sweep over empty water, the distant horizon. the faint suggestion of Duarte's boat circling farther out. Rhodes grabbed his radio. "Duarte, this is Greystone team. You seeing the light?" A crackle, then his voice. "Too bright," he said. "Too focused. It's not sweeping right. It's tracking me." "What do you mean, tracking?" "The beam is staying on my position," he said, panic creeping in. "Every time I move, it follows. Turn it off." I reached for the breaker, even though I knew it wasn't doing anything. The moment my hand touched it, our radios hissed. My own voice came through the speaker. "Greystone team to base. Beacon energized, all normal, calm, routine. Exactly how I sounded on every other site. I hadn't said that yet. Vega stared at his radio like it had grown teeth. "Was that a playback?" he whispered. The transmission repeated. Same words, same tone, same breaths. This time, though, it wasn't just my voice. Underneath, faint but distinct, I could hear Vega's and Rhodes's. The same sentence, layered in 3 voices, slightly out of sync. Like someone had recorded us, rearranged us, and was trying to get the mix right. The light kept turning, but slower now. Every time it passed over Duarte's boat, it seemed to hesitate, lingering there for a fraction of a second too long before continuing the arc. "Turn it off!" Duarte shouted over the radio. "I'm losing instruments! It's burning through the fog!" "There is no power," I snapped. "It's not coming from the system." "Then where?" Vega asked. Nobody had an answer. That was when the temperature changed. The lantern room got warmer, not a nice warmth. A thick, stale heat like the inside of a mouth. The glass in front of us fogged slightly. In the condensation, just for a second, I saw the crude outline of a face, not detailed. Just the idea of eyes and a mouth, elongated and wrong. When I blinked, it was gone. Our radios crackled again. This time, the voice was none of ours. "Don't leave," it said, slow, dry, like words forced through rusted metal. "You brought the light back." Rhodes didn't hesitate. "We're done," he said. "We're leaving. Now." On the way down, the metal stairs shook in time with the beam's rotation. Each sweep sent a faint vibration through the core of the tower. Halfway down, the radios woke again. Footsteps. Not ours. Not real. Recorded footsteps, echoing through the channel. A perfect copy of our own boots coming up the stairs earlier, but now played back as we descended. Over the footsteps, our voices again. Greystone team to base. Beacon energized. All normal. Repeated, faster, slower, sped up, slowed down, like the tower was practicing us. Vega nearly lost his grip on the rail. "It's copying," he whispered. "It's copying everything." At the base, the generator room felt tighter. The scratched warning by the door seemed deeper, fresher. "Don't bring the light back." We didn't argue with it this time. Outside, the world was darker, not just from clouds. The beam from Greystone sliced the air in clean segments, far too sharp, painting the rocks and water with harsh white like a searchlight. It swung past us as we ran down the short stairs to the landing, then jerked back, locking onto our position for a heartbeat before moving on. Duarte's boat bobbed a little farther out now. The beam tracked him again, burning a path across the waves. "I'm coming in as close as I dare," he said. "Get on, rapido." We jumped. The moment our boots hit the deck, the beam snapped fully onto the boat and stayed there, no longer pretending to rotate. The radios hissed, then went dead. No static, no voice, just a thin, high whistle barely audible under the engine. "Don't look back," Rhodes said. I looked back. The lantern room glowed like an eye. Behind the glass, just for a moment I thought I saw movement, shapes shifting in the light, like silhouettes of people circling the lamp. Ours. In the official report we wrote, "Relay failure, unknown feedback in lamp circuit, abnormal radio interference, possible weather-related anomalies." We did not write that the bulb burned with no power, that the beam followed the boat like a predator, that the radio played our voices before we spoke them, that something inside the tower told us not to leave. They replaced the relay, tested the cabling, and cleared Greystone Beacon back into operation. Sometimes, on certain nights, ships report that the light seems too focused, like it's looking straight into their bridge windows. The agency says that's an optical illusion. I'd like to believe them. But I still hear that mixed transmission sometimes in my dreams. My voice and Vega's and Rhodes's, braided together, reporting like good little techs. Greystone team to base, beacon energized, all normal. I didn't believe the old stories about lighthouse keepers going mad. I thought it was just isolation, bad weather, cheap rum, and worse company. Then I spent one single night inside Blackridge Light. Not the new automatic beacon on the metal mast above the cliff. The old one, the one the charts call decommissioned, and the locals call something else entirely. They call it O Olho do Nevoeiro, the Fog's Eye. I was part of a small university project documenting life in forgotten maritime structures. Old stations, towers, keepers' houses. We interviewed retired keepers, filmed ruins, collected weather logs, that kind of thing. Blackridge wasn't on our original list. We only heard about it when an ex-keeper, after 2 beers and a long silence, leaned in and said, "You want a real story? Go to the one on the cliff that still answers the radio, even though they cut the power in '94. We thought he was exaggerating. We were wrong. There were 4 of us. Nadia, project lead, documentarist, skeptical but obsessed. Tom, sound tech, all microphones and dry jokes. Elliot, intern, too eager, too curious. Me, camera and field log, halfway between cynic and believer. We got boat access through the Coast Guard on the condition we only went during stable weather and returned before the next afternoon. Nadia, of course, decided we'd get a better story if we stayed overnight. Old lighthouse, storm forecast, fog. People will eat this up, she said. We film it like a time capsule, one last watch. The Coast Guard officer who ferried us out refused to come close to the tower itself. He dropped us near a narrow rock ledge below the cliff, from where a steep path climbed up. You get one window, he said, eyeing the horizon. If the fog wraps it, I don't approach. I don't care who you are. I'll wait offshore until it clears. Because of rocks, I asked. He looked at the old tower on the ridge. Because of what's not on the rocks, he said. Then he left. Blackridge Light was a stone cylinder rising from the cliff's spine, base thick, top crowned with a dead lantern room. Its glass panes were mostly intact, though stained and salt-fogged. A smaller, newer beacon blinked on a metal mast nearby, automated, soulless. The keeper's quarters were built into the base of the tower, 2 rooms, a galley, and a narrow office with a big window facing the sea. Inside, dust lay thick but disturbed in places, as if someone had walked there more recently than 1994. The first thing I noticed was the radio, old, analog, built into the wall of the office. Microphone hanging from a cracked hook, power light off, cable cut. Beautiful, Tom said, running fingers over it. Shame it's dead. Good, Nadia said. Makes the story simpler. We'll fake static in post. Elliot was already halfway up the internal stairs toward the lantern room. Guys, you have to see this view. We all knew the rule. Never split up early. But this place felt less like danger and more like a museum exhibit. Quiet, stale, frozen. We followed him. The lantern room's glass offered a 360-degree view of sea and sky. The new metal beacon blinked a few meters away, cold and precise, ignoring the old tower completely. The fog was coming. You could see it in the distance. A low, thick wall of grey rolling over the surface, swallowing landmarks one by one. This is perfect, Nadia said, already framing shots. Fog, dead tower, new light outside. The symbolism writes itself. We spent the afternoon recording. Wide shots of the tower against the sky, close-ups of rusted mechanisms, Nadia's monologues about the end of human keepers. By the time we finished, the fog had reached the cliffs. It didn't creep, it arrived. 1 minute we could see the horizon, the faint line of a cargo ship far away. The next minute, nothing. Just a moving wall of white swallowing the world in every direction. The new beacon's light turned into a diffuse pulse in the thickness. We decided to stay in the keeper's office to film the storm's approach. That's when the first call came. Tom was setting a mic near the window when the old radio behind him clicked. We all turned. The power light stayed dark, the cut cable dangled. The speaker hissed. Then through the static, a familiar voice. Blackridge Station, this is Coast Guard Tender Orion. Status check. Do you copy? Nadia's eyes lit up. Okay, that's impossible and perfect. Are they pranking us? Tom frowned. The Coast Guard uses digital units now. This is older than me. Elliot picked up the dead microphone, looked at the cut cable and let it drop. This isn't connected to anything, he said. How is it even? The radio crackled again. Same voice, almost identical words, but the tone was off. A little too slow, vowels stretched. Blackridge Station, this is Orion, status, check, do I copy? Tom, always playing the rational one, forced a laugh. Probably some interference, old recordings bouncing off the atmosphere or whatever. I've read about that. On a radio with no power, I said. The fog pressed against the window like breath on glass. Nadia whispered, keep rolling. Whatever this is, we're documenting it. The radio clicked once more. This time, it didn't use the Coast Guard's voice. It used mine. Blackridge Station, this is Orion, status check, do you copy? Same phrase, my tone, my accent. The exact hesitation I'd had earlier when I'd repeated the officer's ship name. The room constricted. I heard my own recorded voice and wanted to deny it. But you always recognize yourself. Okay, Tom said, backing away from the wall. Nope, no, I'm out. Don't touch it, Nadia snapped. Nobody touches it, we just listen. We listened. The radio seemed to be testing different versions. It tried Tom's voice next, then Elliot's, then Nadia's. Same sentence, rolling through our timbres like fingers trying on gloves. When it ran through all four, it went quiet. For about 10 seconds. Then a new voice came, rough, tired, accented, definitely not any of us. Blackridge Station, focusing beam. Fog density high. Hold your signal. Do not leave the tower. Elliot swallowed. Tell me that was a recording. How would a dead radio play a recording? I asked. The fog outside thickened until even the new beacon's blink became a faint, dull throb in the milk. The office felt smaller. On the wall, above the radio, carved deep into the wood, we saw a sentence we'd missed before, don't answer after dark under it. As if someone had started writing more and stopped abruptly. Another word. It call. The rest was gouged out. Hours crawled, the fog turned the world into a featureless grey shell. We filmed, argued, theorized. Twice more the radio crackled to life. The second time it repeated pieces of old ship calls, splicing them with our names. Bearing 130, visibility limited, request guidance, Nadia. Lost visual on coastline, holding pattern, Tom. The third time, it didn't ask for help. It gave instructions. In my voice. Invog is unstable. One of you must go up to the lantern room and trigger manual rotation. If the beam doesn't move, the ship won't see the rocks. You don't want that, do you? Nadia looked at me. I didn't say that, I said quickly. Maybe there really is a ship, Elliot said. Maybe whatever this is replaying real procedure. We can at least check. Tom shook his head violently. We are not climbing up there in the dark because a dead radio told us to. The radio answered him in his own voice. Someone has to. Then under it another layer, a second Tom, pitched slightly wrong. Syllables stretched to the point of tearing. Someone has to. The fog pressed harder against the glass. I swear it made a faint rubbing sound, like fingers moving slowly on the other side. We lasted another 40 minutes before the tension cracked us. Nadia made the decision. We go up together, she said. We don't split. Nadia responde au radio, no one touches anything, we just look. The stairs up the tower felt longer than during the day. Each step echoed wrong, coming back to us half a beat too late, as if something heavier was following our rhythm from a step behind. At the top, the lantern room was a hollow dome of glass filled with swirling white. The new beacon outside flashed somewhere in the soup, its light smearing across every surface. The old lamp mechanism, long dead, sat in the center like a rusted heart. No movement, no power. See, Tom said, voice shaking. Nothing. We go back down. We wait for dawn. We pretend none of this. The glass to our left went dark. Not less fog. Something standing outside. A shape. Human-sized. Pressed against the pane. Nothing but silhouette. No face, no features, no clothes. Just a dense absence, darker than the fog, as if someone had cut a person out of the whiteness. It was leaning in, head tilted, as if listening. Elliot took a step toward it. "Hey," he whispered. "Do you see?" The radio upstairs crackled. We didn't bring it. The wall unit was downstairs, yet the sound came from the air above the dead lamp. Our voices spilled into the room, overlapped and distorted. "Blackridge Station, this is Blackridge Station, do you copy? The shape at the glass slowly raised one arm. On the pane, something like a handprint appeared. Not clear, more like condensation pulled toward where fingers should be, 5 streaks reaching inward. The entire room vibrated, like the tower had exhaled. I don't remember who moved first. One moment we were frozen, the next we were scrambling down the stairs, tripping over each other, the echo of our own radio calls chasing us down the shaft. At the base, the office felt worse. The radio was no longer on the wall. It was on the desk. Microphone placed neatly in the center, power lights still off. The carved warning above was fresh enough that a curl of wood dust lay on the sill below it. "Don't answer, after dark." We didn't. The fog never fully cleared that night. The Coast Guard refused to approach. We watched the new beacon blink uselessly into the white until dawn bled grey into the sky. By morning, the radio was silent. The shape in the glass was gone. The tower was just stone again. We didn't stay to test whether it would speak in daylight. Back on the mainland, the recordings from that night were wrong. Our main camera logs, cut out during the worst parts, audio there, video black. Some external mics captured fragments of calls that never happened. In one clip, Nadia asks me a question I never heard in real life. In the background of several takes, if you boost the audio, you can hear it. My voice, Tom's voice, Elliot's, Nadia's. All 4 of us layered, repeating into dead air. "Blackridge Station, do you copy?" Over and over, almost like the tower was practicing. We never released that episode. Officially, Blackridge Light stays off the tour lists because it's unsafe and structurally compromised. Unofficially, every few winters, someone on the night shift at the Coast Guard swears they hear a faint, old-style radio call bleeding through modern channels. A station ident that hasn't existed for decades, always the same words, always in a voice they recognize. Blackridge Station, holding the light, fog thickening. Do you copy?